Hi, my name is Bevan Landrum, and I'm the Donor Engagement Officer for the J. Whitney Bunting College of Business at Georgia College. We're excited today to bring together the collaboration of several weeks' effort
between the Milledgeville-Baldwin Chamber of Commerce
and the College of Business faculty. The collaboration is centered around the Chamber of Commerce's Recovery and Resiliency Task Force, and Georgia College faculty, alumni, supporters, and students have been participating together to build content and resources for business owners who may need additional information and support facing the impact of COVID-19 on their operations and revenue. Today's marketing focus group will dive into the real-world impacts of COVID-19 on changes in Georgia College student purchasing behaviors. We have joining us 3 faculty members from the College of Business. Dr. Joanna Schwartz is a full professor of marketing in her 16th year at Georgia College. She is a national and regional speaker and consultant on issues related to LGBTQ, marketing, and inclusion. She's been the department chair and an area coordinator for her discipline. She's currently the faculty lead for the Georgia College Diversity Faculty Peer Educators Group. And before Georgia College, she worked for Cox Broadcasting as both VP for Research in their Marketing Research subsidiary, and then as Director of Perceptual Research for Cox Radio. She is an avid runner. She's married with 2 amazing children. She has a detailed knowledge of classic movies, and she takes food very seriously. Dr. Mary Ricard is also on screen with us today. She's an assistant professor who earned her doctorate from Kennesaw State University. She and her family moved to Milledgeville 3 years ago when she began her career at Georgia College. She's originally from Honolulu, and her previous industry experience is in wholesale, retail fashion, travel, and as a former service industry business owner. She also has the privilege of being the faculty advisor for the sales team on campus, and she says, students are amazing and have continuously excelled. Kendra Evans is our 3rd participant as a leader of the focus group, and she's a first-year lecturer of marketing with professional experience in marketing for healthcare, economic development, and higher education. She's an alumnus of Georgia College and came to the College of Business after 3 years at the University Career Center. We also have students participating with the focus group today, and we'll give them a shout out. Today we have Jenna Bryson, Lele Torrence, Tess DiMauro, Jonah Gunderson, Hannah Gordon, Matthew Overstreet, Sam Mullis, Emmy Barnhardt, Daniella Vivas, and Chandler Wright. At this point, we're ready to get started with the focus group, and I'll turn it back over to Professor Schwartz to begin our focus group moderation.
Hi, okay, so to start out, we're gonna sort of start with a general question, and that is, the pandemic has obviously changed a lot of things in our life. So how would you say, thinking about that in terms of your spending habits, how would your spending habits have changed at all versus previous years?
Personally, I have been more, I don't know if frugal is the right word, but I have stopped spending as much on things that I don't necessarily need, just because of, I guess, kind of like a guilt for buying stuff that I don't really need, now that like things have took more so of a dire turn. I mean, I buy like hand sanitizer and masks and stuff, but I don't do as much personal spending as I used to.
I would say for myself, like at the beginning of this semester, I was the same way. I was more frugal and not spending as much going out to eat and everything like that. But as the semester has gone on, I feel that more people have taken a have gotten more and more relaxed and kind of going back to our normal spending habits as, say, last year or something like that.
For me, I've definitely been spending less. Most of this has to do with there's not as many like opportunities for me to do things where I'd be spending money, like going out to eat as much or go out and buy things. But mostly because I kind of have a fear of losing my job because I am a server and I don't know if we're going to have to go back to just carry out or if we're going to have to not like have as many employees, and if that would mean me not working as much or making as much money. It makes me want to hold on to as much as I can for now in the event that that does happen.
I definitely agree with Tess because I also am a server as well. I work at Amici on the lake, and definitely it has been some times where we don't want to spend money because we don't know, once again, like if we have to or not, because we'd rather buy groceries rather than have someone to cook for us because we don't know if they have COVID or not. So it's just all safety precautions that we want to take.
Okay, well, continuing on that theme then, how about specifically Milledgeville stores, that spending in terms of Milledgeville stores and restaurants and bars in particular? How would you say that has impacted that type of spending and where you spend that money?
I would say for like the bar scene, I think that has changed a lot with Corona, in facts that there's now a limit, like a capacity that when they reach, they don't let anyone in. And compared to last year, there was really never lines to get into places, and you didn't have to wear masks waiting in line. So I feel like with that, a lot of people are less inclined to go out because it's more of a hassle to get into bars. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for like people that I know, it was more like similar to what I said on the last thing. Like at the very beginning of the semester, when everybody was taking the most precautions, and before like the school hit the peak of Corona, not that many people were going out. Everybody's being really careful. But then, I mean, once the school hit, like the big number of Corona cases that we did hit, people started going down. People started becoming more relaxed, and now like, if like I went out to eat early in the semester, there'd be nobody. But now like the places are packed now, and at night the places are packed too. Like there's lines outside every restaurant or bar. So I think it's definitely become more relaxed as time has gone on.
Also, I feel like people.
sorry.
No, you're fine. Also, I feel like people have taken back the fear of going out and stuff because they can't live in fear. We can't live in fear in this world, not with everything's going on right now. And so they just got tired of sitting home, not be able to do stuff. They want to go out, do normal things again. So therefore, I think some of that stuff have gotten back to normal, as was it Matthew, I think, said. Yeah.
As for like spending, I think one thing that I've seen, I go to a lot of trivia now. Like instead of going out like later in the night, I've been going out earlier just because there's less people and there's less of a crowd. And now the bars are technically restaurants, so they serve food. So for talking and spending, I'm spending a lot of more money because it's earlier in the night and I'm buying a lot of food. So I think for downtown locations, I think it's kind of in a way benefited them because now since they're technically restaurants, are serving food, and I think they might be making more money, or I don't know if it's just me, but they're definitely taking a lot of my money because I get hungry.
I know for me, I don't really go downtown very much, and definitely not at night, not a part of the bar scene or anything. But I know for me, Blackbird, it's not open to where you can go and sit down. And so I haven't really been in there very much to go and like do homework or meet with friends. It's really just there if I want coffee, but kind of the community aspect of that isn't really there anymore since you can't stay in the shop.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on, I think the bar atmosphere and everything, it's kind of stayed the same besides like the capacity and things. But the retail side, I'm not 100% sure, but I would only imagine that it's taken quite a hit and still not back to where it was. only because students like us and people can use Amazon or eBay or places that they don't have to come in contact with COVID, and it can be shipped straight to their door, so they don't have to, take any risk going out.
Joining that, I would say like the shops, it's since people have changed their habits and try to be more frugal, it's been harder for the boutiques. So I've been more inclined if there's a sale or a coupon, but it's harder to like spend that money for like something that's $30, $40, $50. But if you can kind of get like a BOGO or something that's kind of like a package deal, it's more inclining to get people to spend money. So that's just another thing.
Thanks for that. Okay, so I'll hand it over to Professor Rickard for the next question.
Next question. Are there specific issues, concerns, or problems you've faced when in Milledgeville since, when shopping in Milledgeville since coming back to campus?
I'd say, I mean, I personally haven't come across any issues. The only thing that has changed is we just have to wear a mask in the store. Like say you go into Kroger or Walmart or something like that. But when it comes to just like my typical buying habits or just, I haven't found any issues for me personally when it comes to things like that.
I agree with what Matthew said. I don't think there's necessarily any issues. The only thing that I found interesting is that some of the stores don't require you to wear a face mask, and they'll have like signs up on the door that say like, we do not condone the mask mandate, I guess. But that's really the only interesting thing that I've run into.
I don't know if this relates to shopping as much, but for restaurants downtown, a lot of restaurants would do spirit nights last semester to raise money for different philanthropies. And I realized this year there hasn't been as many opportunities for spirit nights because one, it's encouraging large gatherings, which would be bad rep for those restaurants downtown. And they also would lose some money because they give some of the profits, maybe like 10% of the order or meal to that given philanthropy. So restaurants don't want to do that, for one, because they're already hurting, so they don't want to give more of the money that they're earning to a philanthropy, and they don't want to encourage large crowds.
I did run into a problem one time, and it was my fault. I had driven all the way to Walmart, and I forgot a face mask. And I don't know how I did that after we've been doing this for like 6 months. But I forgot a face mask, and I'm walking in. My friend was with me, and she was like, it's fine. Like, sometimes they don't say anything. And as I'm walking in, one of the workers was like yelling at me because I didn't have a face mask. And then I was like, okay, I'll leave. Like, I'll go somewhere else. And then she ended up letting me walk in. But also, half the people in there weren't wearing face masks. So that was interesting that she was about to like make me not spend my money in Walmart instead of wearing the face mask. So, I mean, it was completely my fault. I wasn't angry, but that is one issue.
Has anybody had anything else happen that they'd like to share with us? Any other concerns?
Yeah, I just thought of this. I was buying a pair of jeans at, I think, Belk, and the closing or the fitting rooms were closed. I like to try on my jeans before I buy them. So I ended up buying the jeans, two pairs, because I couldn't decide, like, I don't know how they fit. Then I drove home, tried them on, and went right back and returned the other pair. So it was just a hassle that I knew I was going to return it, but I had to go all the way home and try them on and then bring it back. And that was hassle.
That reminds me, that's the same issue I have had, especially with TJ Maxx, because I'll go in there, I'll see all these things that I want to get that are like great prices, good selection, and I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to look on me, if it's going to fit. One time I've like put stuff on over my clothes, but then after that, I just have to keep going back if I do buy something and return things.
Is there a way you think they could do that safer or, safely?
Well, I feel like normally when you try on clothes at stores, they want you to put it back, or they don't want you to put it back on the rack. You normally give it to the person working the fitting rooms. And I'm not sure if they cleaned it or not, but they could maybe somehow try to disinfect it before they put it back on the rack for like the general public.
It's something that I can't really understand because, like me and Jonah said, we're taking these things to our homes, putting them on at home with whatever germs we could have here, and then bringing them back. So that could be a process for them with like cleaning it, because I don't think it's necessarily like a fitting room issue, because like they could just like sanitize them. I think it's more of like the clothes that they don't want to put back on the racks, but if we're doing that as is, I don't get it.
Yeah, and to comment on that, for someone like TJ Maxx, I mean, you're going to go in there and you're going to touch the clothing to look to see what you want. So you're going to touch the clothing just as much as if you're looking at it or trying it on. So I don't understand. I mean, also, like, if you're going out and shopping, clearly you're going to like wear a mask and make sure that you're safe, but you're also like knowing that you're going to take a risk. You can't just leave your home and like go out and expect not to possibly take a risk. So I don't understand why like clothing places aren't letting you try on, only because you're going to be touching it just as if you were looking at it or putting it back on the shelf, or as if a worker was putting it back on the shelf.
I know the French Village downtown, their changing rooms are open, and what they do is they just, instead of putting the clothes back, they steam them. So you give it to the workers and they'll steam them, and then they'll put them back. But I do understand like that's a smaller business, so they can like control the clothes more, versus like TJ Maxx or Walmart or something where they can't really control, or they don't already have the infrastructure. So that would require them to install something.
Anyone else have anything to say about that issue?
I guess I think if stores were willing to have dressing room opens, one, they could have an opportunity for people to have more hours in terms of operating the fitting rooms, keeping them clean, cleaning the clothes when people aren't going to purchase them. And also, I think that because all of us are recognizing that it is such a hassle to go somewhere, buy something, and then return it if it doesn't fit, that it would encourage people to actually purchase the clothes if they were able to try them on in the store, rather than thinking, it's just too much of a hassle to come back, and if this doesn't fit, I'm just not going to buy it.
All right, thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Evans for the next question.
As we've had all these changes, are there specific stores or restaurants in Milledgeville that you find that you're frequenting more than you were before? And are there stores or restaurants that you are going to less than you were before the coronavirus?
So Velvet Elvis, I guess, last year had a deal where they would like have half off wings on Monday. And me and my friends used to go to that a lot, but they've since then like discontinued the deal, I think. And so I don't find myself going there that much anymore for like meals and stuff, or honestly even late night. But I think that I've visited Bollywood more just because they've maintained their like $2 taco like deals and stuff. So it really just depends on like the deals that the restaurants have kept open, I guess.
Also, most restaurants have went to a selective menu, so therefore most people don't want to eat the same thing over and over with that only like the only choice you get. So other restaurants they're still giving a variety of foods and stuff. So yeah, it's all about the different options, I guess.
For grocery shopping, one thing this semester that I haven't done, I used to go to Walmart for all my groceries. And when all the numbers were really high for Corona, I did Kroger pickup for the first time, where you order everything online and it's like contactless. They open up the back of your door and they put like all the groceries in and you just sign. And that's just like very convenient. So I've done that. But the other aspect of that is I like to pick out my like fruits and vegetables. And when if you just say like a thing of bananas, they'll just pick whichever one. That's like another thing taken, but the Kroger pickup has been it's a nice thing I've started doing this semester.
Are the special deals something that really drives you guys to visit these stores and restaurants? And is that something that you think you would wish that the restaurants would do more of?
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me and like my group of friends, Velvet used to do like what was it, like $6 buff birds on Wednesdays, and we would always go get those on Wednesdays. Or if certain restaurants are doing certain drink deals like during the day or night, that would definitely drive us to go to one place versus another.
I agree. It definitely makes me want to go to these places more, like specifically like the restaurants when they do stuff like Taco Tuesday, or they'll do like $2 Tuesdays at Amici. It kind of like gives me an incentive to like want to go. Like it's something to look forward to, and I'm also saving my money. And like since I'm not like going out like late night to do things, it's something that I look forward to get like a friend or two to come and like get food with me, and I'll be like, hey, they have this deal today, and it's become like something that me and my friends really like to do instead.
It's also attractive because the way our classes are designed now, I see less of my friends. So sometimes it's like a special treat to be like, hey, like let's hang out and like talk over food. So that way you get like, quality time, but also a good price on food.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's kind of hard for restaurants because clearly they want to, make these promotions and allow people to come in, but at the same time, they have to follow legal action due to like the ethicalness and because of COVID. So they're trying to drive profit. They're trying to make their numbers as high as they can be, but you also have to follow these rules and guidelines. If you have a dollar drink night, everyone from the college is going to want to come. And then you get put in a situation of, do we want to, drive profit and allow these people to be in here unsafely? Excuse me. Or do we push people away? And you're also trying to create and maintain relationships to make sure after all this goes away, you need to have a good relationship and good service for people to see you as.
Very good. Thank you. Professor Schwartz?
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about, and the way that you're changed spending your money and the way that you are taking advantage of deals. Thinking about your personal behavior and the way that you use businesses, when you think about stores and whether they adhere to the mask ordinance or whether they have hand sanitizer or seem to be doing things that are focused on keeping you safe, just think about that. And first of all, does that matter to you? And then are there stores that seem to be doing a job at it that stands out to you as good, or maybe a job that, there are things that they could improve?
I can kind of answer this one. For me, honestly, I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now, and I think a lot of people don't really know what to expect. So that being said, I think it's everyone's kind of social responsibility. If we're going to wear a mask, a store should at least provide hand sanitizers, maybe even free masks just in case for certain people. But kind of going back to what some people were saying in here, Walmart is kind of iffy, to say the least. Some days they don't really care. Some days they're a little more on top of things, kind of watching people come through the door. But mostly Walmart, because that's where, honestly, I do most of my shopping now. They're just kind of iffy. They're just kind of some days better than others.
Okay, and also, and bouncing off of what Professor Evans said, think about that also in terms of what some of these stores could also do to get you back.
Like somebody mentioned earlier how in a lot of the restaurants downtown, they have signs on their door that says, we do not condone the mask mandate. So and there's a lot of college kids that do not agree with wearing a mask and would just much rather have life to be back to normal. So that's very appealing to a lot of kids, where it's like, okay, these guys aren't going to make me wear a mask, or like it's kind of like a corona-free zone, even though it isn't. Like, it's like they just don't have to think about it. They can just go and have dinner and enjoy themselves. So I think it's good, and it's good for the restaurants, but it may be bad for Milledgeville.
Can you guys tell us a little bit more about how you feel about that mask ordinance and the restaurants or organizations that choose to follow it or that advertise that they don't? How do you guys feel?
I can jump in. Well, currently I'm sitting in Terrell, so that's why I'm wearing a mask, if you guys are wondering. But for me, like the mask thing, I'm someone who, I'm gonna wear it if you tell me to wear it, but I'm also not gonna fight anyone on it. And I'm also on the like side where, yes, I'm gonna go to the brick and I'm not gonna wear a mask, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend. But I think it just has to do with messaging. I'm not gonna come in here and rip my mask off and be like, Georgia College, how dare you? But I'm gonna sit here and wear my mask so I can do this. And then, but if someone were to come up to me like in the brick and try to tell me to wear it, I think it's all in the messaging and how they deliver that. And then I'm gonna comply with whatever someone wants me to do.
I think bouncing off that, I think it definitely depends on the place, like where you are in Milledgeville. Like in classes on campus, like that definitely makes sense. But for an aspect like going downtown, I know there's cops that make you wear a mask. A couple of nights they'll make you wear a mask when you're waiting in line. But then as soon as you get in a restaurant or a bar, you take off your mask. So it's like, I understand why they want us to wear a mask, but why would you enforce that when they take it off 5 minutes later? But then also you can't say no to law enforcement, but it's kind of like, I just don't see the point for that like specific example. But on campus, like it definitely makes sense. So I think it's all just depends on the place.
Yeah, I agree with Jonah. I mean, it's walking down the street, somebody will ask you, put on your mask. So it's like, okay, I'll put on my mask. And then I go inside a restaurant with 50 other people and nobody's wearing a mask. So to an extent, it's kind of pointless at times. But I understand why it's in place, because you got to have the rule so you can say you made the rule. So, I mean, people don't get mad or frustrated or anything like that. But once you go inside, or it's like you live with 6 or 7 other people, I mean, there's really nothing people can do about it.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Professor Rickard for the next question. Thank you.
So based on what you guys have been saying, what could Milledgeville businesses do to make your shopping experience easier or better?
Well, I said this earlier, but I think this relates to this question better. The Kroger pickup is something that has changed, and that's made my shopping experience a lot easier for that aspect.
I don't necessarily think anything can help. I mean, it can probably get better, but regardless or not, we deal with germs every day. Whether someone's touching our stuff, whether we're touching it, someone deals with it before it even gets to them. So therefore, I mean, disinfecting, yeah, but honestly, I don't know if there's really a vaccine will be great. But other than that, I don't really think there's anything that's going to really help our situation so far. It's not as much as they've taken so far already to help us out with the 6 feet apart and everything like that, the mask. I don't know if there's more that we can do or that they can do.
I know, I'm not sure how constructive this is, just because I think a lot of the Milledgeville restaurants and stores are doing a pretty decent job at mandating masks or having hand sanitizer readily available. And so I'm not sure what else they can do on the health aspect. But when me and my roommates had the coronavirus, we used Instacart a lot, and people would deliver groceries to you. It was a little bit more expensive, but it was definitely worth it, because obviously we were all sick and we didn't want to go out and get anyone else sick, but also it was just very convenient. And so
if restaurants had the capability of offering more some of the types of apps and things like that, delivery service, do you think that would be something you might use?
Yeah, I think definitely. And I know there's some sort of delivery like K&G, I think it's called. They have a delivery service, and so I know that's pretty helpful. But I think that if I was like knowingly fine, like if I didn't have the virus, then I wouldn't use it. I think it would be more so if I like wasn't leaving the house.
Good to know. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about that one?
I know, so kind of like that, there's DoorDash that people have been using, and I don't normally order, but my roommates do. They started ordering Chick-fil-A because you can only order, or you order through the app and you don't have to go through DoorDash and pay that, or a bigger fee than DoorDash. Chick-fil-A is a smaller delivery fee, and it's all through Chick-fil-A, so it's just easier than going through separate apps and stuff.
Thank you, Jonah. Professor Evans?
Thank you. And going off of that and speaking more about the local restaurants, what would you say, what percentage of your spending goes towards dining in, getting things to go, or getting delivery, if you had to think percentage-wise of your spending?
I would say for me right now, currently, it's pretty small because just of how expensive it is, because most restaurants downtown don't use like a delivery service. So if you want to get food from a restaurant, you have to use DoorDash, and that becomes pretty expensive. But like when I had COVID earlier this semester, I was using that a lot more. So I think most restaurants should have the option, because when you have college kids that have to stay inside for 2 weeks, they're going to want their normal food, and having that delivery option would be extremely helpful.
I'd have to say mine would be close to zero. Even before the coronavirus thing started happening, I never really used these food delivery services to begin with. And I think it mostly has to do with cost, because between like the delivery fee, adding a tip, and a lot of like restaurants like around here, especially if they're local, like they will like increase their prices a little bit for these apps just so they can like make a profit instead of more of the profit going towards like DoorDash or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's something that did not change for me at all, and I probably won't start using it either.
And going off what Tess said, I never buy things through DoorDash or anything. And the only reason I did Kroger pickup is because I heard from a friend it was free. Like there was no extra charges to do that service, which is the only reason I did it in the first place.
Kroger pickup though, I do that, and that's something I will continue to use even after the virus stuff is over, because it's very convenient.
And have you guys found yourself doing more takeout than usual rather than going to visit the restaurants in person? And if you are, have you noticed any restaurants that are doing a good job with their takeout service?
Yes, I think all the restaurants are going to have troubles, only because like I eat out a great amount of my meals, just because I feel like sometimes if you go to the grocery store and just buy for one person, it can almost be as expensive as just going to like a cookout or something like that. But for me, like I'm not going to go to my favorite restaurant. I'm mostly going to go to the one that's the fastest. And with everybody trying to do takeout and a lot of the dining rooms closed when you go to these restaurants, I mean, for instance, Chick-fil-A, a lot of times the line is out in 441. So that's the only thing where if you could get over into these, delivering apps, I know like you're gonna have to hire more people, and it might be more expensive if you're, rather than outsourcing. But I think I'm just gonna go somewhere that is gonna be quicker, and organized for me is not gonna be the top priority, only because there's gonna be a lot of people in line, and I know organization's gonna make the line go quicker, but there's just gonna be so many people there.
Okay, well, let me ask a question for the group and try to think about this. And we've touched on some of these other things, but what would you like? And some people have addressed this already a little bit, but what would you like to see downtown businesses doing in order to encourage more business from you and from your friends?
I mean, having those special deals is extremely big for, I know, like myself and my circle of friends, because when, say we hear like, if Velvet was doing like buy one, get one free wings or something like that, that would be a huge incentive for us to go downtown and get food there. And I think it's good for them, because especially once you hit the older juniors and seniors, we're all 21, they're going to come down and we're going to buy alcohol too. So, I mean, just the food is just a small part that they can do just to get us into the restaurant.
I agree, because I know yesterday afternoon, I was doing some work stuff and I had to like drop something off to one of my clients, and then I'm walking through downtown and I see a beautiful sign that says happy hour all day from Bollywood, and I was like, well, I'm a grown up and my roommate just got out of class, so we go in there and it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and we were the only people in there. So like I understand like sometimes like you would think that a special would drive traffic. It's also Milledgeville and we're all busy, so it's not driving as much traffic as you'd think it would. And so like we were there for like 3 hours having a great time talking to our server friend, and there was no one in there, and we were very safe, and we had food and spent a lot of money. So things like that, I mean, it's, again, Milledgeville, so word of mouth is the best way to do things. I think that would be the main thing.
I agree. I think word of mouth is like very big in this town. And personally, if I were to like see that a restaurant was having a deal and I was there with some friends, I know that it would probably turn into like all of my roommates coming, or like just a few more people coming just by me or one of my friends advertising that there was a deal. So I think that's a good way that they could drive in more business.
I've seen several places use social media, particularly Instagram. They're just, offering like gift cards or coupons or whatever if you, like tag your friends in posts or post on your story. And so I think because our generation tends to use social media so much, that it's a good way to kind of use social media as another vehicle for more personal advertising through friends.
Okay, well, I think we're getting some really good answers, and we'll I think we're at a nice kind of stopping place if there are I think we've addressed a lot of stuff, but I would like to go back around and ask everybody if there were any other things that maybe you didn't get to mention, or maybe that these questions or other people's answers made you think about. If you just take just a quick moment to add any thoughts that you feel might be important that we didn't cover.
I think jumping off what Jenna said, and I don't know if like the businesses downtown would see it, and I'm sure their marketing person could think of it themselves, but definitely like being super intentional with social media. And if they're doing that and making a good graphic that has like the hours, because that's something I struggle with. I'm like, are they open? When are they closing? And you can't find it. And I try to call and no one answers. So like being super intentional with what a graphic says, and maybe like do a giveaway or repost this to your story for a chance to win like something like a spot in trivia. I don't know, something like that. And just being like not overshadowing like the hours, what's the capacity limit? What time do you open? Things like that.
I also think that places like these restaurants, like if they utilize social media more, it definitely helps. Like I know for me, like Metropolis, for example, I mean, I work there, but like I didn't follow them on Instagram until I worked there. And now that I do, I see that every day they'll post what our specials are, whether it be food or drink. And it always looks so awesome. It makes me want to go. And like I'll send it to my friends and they're like, oh, we should go. But nobody's like really following these things. And I think that's something that would help. Another thing is restaurants that have capability for like outdoor seating. I know that that's kind of a draw because like especially if people are cooped up inside for long periods of time, like on Zoom or whatever it may be, getting to go out and feel like maybe like a little safer, one, like by being outside, or two, just like being in like a better like environment, like on a nice day. That's definitely very inviting for me and my friends.
Anyone else?
I agree with the outdoor seating, and as someone mentioned earlier about how Blackbird doesn't really have, they have like limited outdoor seating, but I know it's driven off like a bunch of people that they can't sit inside. And so I think the expansion of outdoor seating for a lot of restaurants would bring in a lot more people.
Okay. Well, that's been a very robust discussion, and I thank all of you for participating in the focus group. I think that our business owners locally will get great benefit out of hearing the discussion back and forth and what some of your answers have been about how college students are making buying decisions right now during a pandemic. So we certainly thank our faculty who've been involved. Again, Dr. Joanna Schwartz, Dr. Mary Ricard, and Professor Kendra Evans. Thank you very much. And to all the students who participated, thank you as well.